Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. No one wants to come across as being pushy, not even salespeople really. But being pushy is one of the 7 beliefs Jim Cox says is holding people back from increasing their sales performance. Jim is a business coach and author of Build, Excite, Ignite. He outlines those 7 beliefs in a moment. First, he reckons that the process is the most important component of the sales cycle. Chris Ashmore asks him why.
Because you can be a fantastic salesperson and sell a ton of stuff and have a really crappy product. And I've done that before where I bought something where the marketing and sales process just made it feel like it was absolutely amazing. And you actually get there and buy the thing and it doesn't deliver. Having said that, obviously, longevity of business, if you want to retain clients and have a great rapport and get referral business, operating in that sense is probably not the right way to go. But I think without the sales process, you don't have a business. So definitely something that you've got to focus on.
And yet, sales is something that a lot of business owners shy away from. And you outline in your book 7 beliefs that hold people back from sales. Can you run us through each one?
Yeah, for sure. So the first one is I hate salespeople. So looking at that used car salesman, our minds tend to relate back to negative experiences in sales. So that's obviously something that we don't want to become. The other one, I think, is also looking at the fact that how flooded, depending on the industry that you're in, but that the market is quite flooded. So do other people have better sales processes than me? The sneaky algorithms, like I talk to so many people that would easily be able to sell stuff on social media, but they don't want to do it because of the way that social media operates. Not thinking that they're a salesperson. It's quite funny, like especially in the coaching space that I work in. Being a salesperson is just about asking really fantastic questions. And I think that a lot of people get stuck in the fact that they don't think they are a salesperson when really we're selling every single day. You know, convincing your kids what they're going to eat for dinner, talking to your date about where you want to go tonight, you know, what movie you want to see. We're always selling. It's just they don't put it into that context. The next one, people won't like me, especially for those people that do like to be social and do care about how people feel about them. I think that it relates back to that car salesman that, you know, if I'm a salesperson, people are going to think of me in a certain way. Feeling pushy is number 5. So that's the other one. And it's interesting because if you do sales right, the pushiness doesn't actually come into play. People will actually sell themselves if you sell in the correct manner. You know, it doesn't actually feel like sales. Number 6, they'll just buy if I'm nice. So I think that's one that a lot of people get stuck in. They go, hey, look, if I just have a really cool chat and I build a bit of rapport and then I throw the thing at them that I want them to purchase, they're just going to grab it. And being nice is the best way to go. And 7th is actually probably the most crucial because there's so many different personality types and so many different people out there. A lot of people believe that to be an effective salesperson, they have to be an extrovert. And I think that that's far from the truth, depending on the audience that you're targeting. You've got to come to their level, and not everybody is extroverted.
Not at all. And that can be a bit off-putting.
Correct. Exactly.
So what's the answer then? How does someone become better at sales?
Look, I think the best salespeople that I see are the ones that really believe in what they have to offer. I think if you understand that it's not about taking someone's money, but it's an exchange to help them achieve what they want to achieve, especially in the service industry, then I think that ickiness around sales disappears. The other thing is you need to get to know the person first. And this is another mistake I see a lot of people in the sales space make is they jump straight to, boy, have I got this fantastic thing for you, you should check it out. When really, if you're asking the right questions, getting to know the person, having the right conversations, they're actually going to sell themselves is the tricky way to do it. And it makes the process, once you get it right, it takes practice, but it actually makes the process really easy and really fun.
There's one part of the sales process, and that is handling an objection from the customer. How do you handle objections?
Ask great questions. Turn what they've said into a question. So going back, generally when it comes to people asking objections, said salesperson will go, right, how can I prove that this is better? Or what do I need to say to convince the person? Yeah. When really what we're missing is that there's a lot of stuff going on in someone's head to help them figure out what it is that they want to do right now with whatever you're offering. And flipping it back on them and asking a great question actually supports them to go through that sales process. So as an example, one of the biggest ones at the moment with the current economic climate, I can't afford it. If you flip back, agree first, that's the key. Cool. Totally understand it's a lot of money. But Chris, tell me this, what could you afford? Beautiful thing about that, whether it's a payment plan, whether it's something else, another way to set them up, they're telling you what they need. They're telling you what's going on up in their head. So it gives you an opportunity to provide a solution based on what they've said. If the client comes back and goes, oh, look, I could do $200 a week, and you go, great, let's set you up on a $200 a week payment plan, very hard for them to say no because they've given you the answer.
Well, they haven't told you they don't want what you're offering. They're just telling you that they can't afford that price.
Correct. And generally it will come down to three key things: money, time, and is it going to work for me? Are the three key objections that you have to play with. So obviously I think there's a little bit of prep around understanding how to provide value in those areas. So, payment plans, one example. If you are offering a service, is there a way that you can support them time-wise, whether it's recordings or, sessions at hours that they fit with or something that they can use 24/7? And is it going to work for me is a huge one as well, which is fantastic because if you can set up with the right testimonials or reviews or case studies, you kind of solve those objections before they actually get to talking to you about the sale.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're at the pointy end of the sale. What happens then? Any advice on closing the conversation?
My magic question, which I'll reveal for all your listeners, is where would you like to go from here? And I really believe in the ancient sales lesson that the next person to speak after you mention price is the one that loses. And it kind of relates to objections as well. So if Chris, we've had a chat, I've presented you with what I have to offer, how I can help, how it's going to solve all your problems, and I say, where would you like to go from here? You instantly start to figure out the objections in your head yourself. Hey, I really want to do this, but can I afford it? Oh, hang on, I've got to talk to the wife first, get that approval, whatever it is. And if you can hold space and silence long enough, usually the person will agree and go, yep, cool, how do I get set up? If they come up with an objection, then obviously you can take it from there. But I think allowing that time for space and not thinking that silence means something's wrong, I think is probably one of the best lessons that I ever learned early on in sales.
Mm-hmm. That's terrific. Well, before we go, any final thoughts on the sales process?
Look, I think it's just going back to embracing what we are all built to do, which is have really fantastic conversations. I think that's honestly what sales really is. If you're able to get to know someone, focus on them as opposed to focusing on the sale, and most importantly, using their language. I think this is another gap that a lot of people get stuck in. And I see it a lot in the coaching industry where, we learn some really, really amazing tools and resources, especially if we've done some study. And that's what we want to talk about because we know it's so great. But to the average person that hasn't done all that study, you could be talking a totally different language. So I think utilizing what the person's saying, repeating their words back, really listening and exploring where they are at is definitely one of the best ways to sell.
That was business coach and trainer Jim Cox. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.